Hi everybody, Ben here. Thanks again for tuning in for this week's wrap. Some more changes out there on the forefront this week as more restrictions are set to be peeled away, giving us back a little bit more freedom that we were formerly used to. And the thought of heading out to dinner, going down to the pub, or even just going to a cafe almost feels like it's back in reach for the life that we were used to. And this is really coming on with a euphoria of positivity and sentiment out there in the marketplace. And the property market is certainly no exception to that. Heron Todd White this week came out and did release some more data around where Sydney and the rest of the country is sitting in terms of their property clock. And it almost seems surreal that 6 weeks ago, if we were to look at this property clock, property in Sydney was certainly sitting on a north or an increasing trend. Whereas if we look at the story now, very different state. If you can see on the clock here, we're certainly sitting in what's called a declining market, and for good reason too with everything that's going on. But if we really hammer down and look what's happening at ground zero right here on the forefront, this positive sentiment is really playing a huge part in what we're seeing already from last month into this month in May. Now, Westpac released some data on how they put some statistics around the positive sentiment and how that performs in terms of the property space. You notice on here the right time to buy a property, and from last month to this month you'll also notice a huge swing in positive sentiment in terms of now is a great time to go out there and buy a home based on that activity that buyers are saying out there. Now, if we go and then correlate that with the clearance rate that we saw last week had a huge rebound in terms of the property clearance rate. We were back up into the 60% zone for auction clearance rates. Now, back in last month, these were hovering week in, week out in and around that 30% space. Now, by no means is this a time to strike up the band, because whilst that sounds really positive, it's also important to note that the volume of auctions have actually receded down to 70%. So we're certainly not getting the volume of homes listed under that auction platform, but it is confident knowing that that clearance rate is certainly trend to more of a normal or a stable market space. So for buyers, this just gives you a little bit more confidence knowing it's actually okay to buy a home. Now is a fine time to buy a house. If you're buying for the right reasons, absolutely get out there and bid with confidence. Now, in terms of buying and selling right now, I think it's also important to note that if you are a vendor looking at coming onto the market to take advantage of this positive sentiment, if you're thinking you're going to go out there and get this record price over and above market value, it's probably not the time for you. And same goes for the buyers. Any buyers coming out there with I'm going to buy and get myself a real deal or a bargain, this isn't your space. For those two groups, now's probably a great time to just park it, sit on the bench and watch from a distance. Anyone looking to really transact out there for all the right reasons, there's a great little space out there where lots of deals are being done for those buyers and sellers looking at, selling on a fair playing field. Now, coming up this week, we've got some great homes coming onto the market. Make sure you check those out on our website. The team's looking forward to seeing you out and about, either it be at one of the open homes or look to call in for a private inspection. However you might like to approach this, property selling, we'd love to see you. That's it for me. Thanks again for tuning in. Bye for now.